In this video, I'm going to show you guys how you can dominate even the #1 ranked player in Guild Wars 2 PvP. In this match, we got so far ahead that it was absolutely impossible for them to catch up. How did we do it? Let's break it down together, and I'll share with you guys a few of the big lessons and takeaways. Okay, so in this first fight here at mid, pay attention to my positioning. You'll see I hop on that platform and I utilize the ones to the right a little bit more here in a second. But overall, I'm trying to stay as best I can at 1200 range because I know that I'm going to be weak in close quarters. Now we get it down here and we're watching that down, getting ready to cleave him because, you know, if a teammate goes down, we want him to be able to get up. So you'll notice actually I get another kill on one there. The reason I jump in there, by the way, instead of just continuing to cleave is because I wanted to stun that Revenant so that he couldn't cleave out our downs. Sometimes you have to do that if you're afraid that the enemy is going to be able to pressure your downs faster than, you know, you can get a kill. So that was kind of me just covering the bases there. I felt pretty safe and I felt like I could probably get a third down. But anyways, the team does a great job being able to finish off all of the opponents there. Now I wanted to go far at this point, but a lot of times I play too aggressive. So in this case I thought, no, our Necro's going far, let me stick with the team and catch guys as they come off of respawn and just kind of guard the lanes. So you'll notice right there as I get close to the enemies, the Reaper just absolutely laser focuses me, and I do try to do all that I can to survive here. But he fears me out of some of my defensives, and I end up just popping everything and I go down. Now my team does end up rezzing me and we clean up this fight once again, but for now I'd like to take a moment to review. Okay, so there are really three main lessons that I'd like to highlight from this initial team fight encounter. The first is to know your role. Ask yourself the question, what strength do I bring to this team comp? For me, I'm a team fight DPS role. This means that I need to stay in the team fight as often as possible to try and turn the tides of the encounter to my team's favor. If you watch closely in this fight, you'll see that the damage I personally dealt was directly responsible for the down of all three enemy players. And on top of that, I was successfully putting pressure on Cjay, who's their main source of damage, so that he couldn't contribute too much to the team fight. Was I the sole reason we got those kills, pressured Cjay, and won the fight? Absolutely not. It's still a team game at the end of the day. But did I massively sway this fight in our favor? Of course I did, because I knew my role and I operated well in it. The second lesson is to know your build's strengths and weaknesses. Spear Catalyst is extremely glassy, it deals a ton of damage, but its best way to survive is by staying at 1200 range. You'll notice in this first fight, when I stayed at 1200 range, we were actively winning. The minute I closed that gap and got cocky, I got laser focused by their Reaper and dropped. Thankfully I had a good team and they were able to clean up regardless of my own personal failure there. So what are your build's strengths and weaknesses, and how can you play your build accordingly? These are questions you want to ask yourself. And the third lesson is to pay attention to downed players. The downstate system in Guild Wars 2 PvP is extremely unique and a massive pillar of the strategy in this game. Some will say to DPS out downed opponents quickly, some will say to bleed opponents, but the truth is it always depends on the situation. The general rule of thumb I stick to is to leave a downed player alone unless they're a ranger or unless they have a support player present who can res them. That way you can leverage the downed enemies to pick up anyone on your team who may get downed by finishing them off. And that's exactly what happened in this team fight. Always watch the downed players and use them to make strategic decisions like when to rotate out of a fight, when to finish them off, and when to bleed them. A solid bleed on 2 or 3 players can be all it takes to snowball the opposing team to a defeat. Just like it did back in 2015 during the World Tournament Series in Boston. If the best team in the world does it, you should do it too. Take a look.
At this point on, the orange logo are going to have to get themselves at least 2 caps if they want to catch up.
They're making a couple of mistakes and the Gw2 are really on top of it.
I think why we are the stronger team is because we can come back in those situations. And that's, I think, is our biggest strength.
What is going on at the bottom of Keep over here? Nos in the downstate, MightyMicah in the downstate, Wakey in the downstate, 5Gauge dead. What? Can they map dominate and come back from 300 points? The decap, we've seen a boss kill. We are less than 100 points behind.
No.
This is going to be another epic comeback. And Orange Logo are really pulling it out in the last minutes of the game. We've got 50 seconds left. 5-point lead, 2 cap in favor of Orange Logo.
You can have your best games in these moments because that's when you truly care the most. You truly get the passion, like true passion.
Orange Logo are going to be able to take game #1 in this first best of 3. Cjay.
Hope you guys enjoyed that throwback to 2015. Getting back to this current match, at this point we pretty much have map state, and so what we need to do is watch the lanes to try and prevent the enemy players from coming through the lanes to get to maybe our home or mid. And as these players come in, they're kind of coming in one by one, which I call trickling. Another way of describing it is calling it being staggered. But either way, the concept is they come in one at a time, and that allows us to kill them very quickly. So you can see we all focused on that Reaper and then that Warrior, so we're generating kills. Now again, I'm watching the lanes, I'm making sure that none of their players can get through, and you'll see that I noticed Cjay right there, so I crowd control him with Water 4, and at this point Cjay is going for the sword buff. Now, we had been ignoring the buff until this point because we had map control and we had the lanes guarded. In other words, they weren't getting out of spawn, we had the advantage, the status quo was good for us, so there was no reason for us to go for sword buff. In any normal situation, sword buff is huge. And so I knew Cjay was going to come up here, and it was worth it to chase him and try to make sure that he dies with my duo partner Gw2 here. We're both focusing him. Of course, he's incredibly good at the game, so it's a little difficult for us to kill him. But I know from playing Spear Catalyst that eventually Spear Catalyst runs out of cooldowns. So we get the kill on him and we get the sword buff. Interestingly enough, one of the lessons that I mentioned earlier was watching downed players. Sword buff, as you're about to witness here, as we kill these players, the little Reaper pops up and goes ahead and finishes them off. That is what makes sword buff so strong, in addition to the extra stats. Now, I'm an idiot and I always forget to press 7 is the keybind for me. For you it'll be something else, but the special key which actually buffs your own stats and I believe the team stats as well. So don't be like me, press the button and you know, give the buff to your team. But either way, buff is super important, and in this case specifically because it finishes down players. Now right here I was kind of babysitting that down player, and as you saw in the whispers there, I realized Cjay we didn't finish off either, so I knew he was going to res. I didn't want to engage on this Reaper initially, but as you can see, I kind of got forced into an engagement with him because I didn't want to give up our node and I knew my team would be close behind. Thankfully I got a quick kill on him, and then I see Gw2 engaging on Cjay. He gets a nasty burst because Mirage has it like that. But then I also noticed that you know, Cjay's just that good. He also bursted Gw2, so I go in, I finish off Cjay's body, and that gets my duo partner up. And at this point in the match, we pretty much have map state. You can see Vindicator comes trickling in. He's trying to use his Vindicator tech to kind of climb up over the wall there, and we begin focusing him. Another nasty burst from Gw2 sets him on the ground. So yeah, the lessons in this section of the game, we don't necessarily have to go back and review. It's mostly just watch your map mechanic, whatever it is. On this map, Sword and Shield are huge. Shield will res you and give your team a bunch of defensive stats. Sword is going to give you offensive stats as well as downing enemy players, so don't forget that. And yeah, keep the enemy contained. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video of us absolutely stomping Cjay. If I can do it, you can do it too. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really have anything to do with Cjay's specific skill or even mine. It's just one of those situations where we played well as a team. I did my role, my duo partner did his role, and ultimately, you know, our team had more synergy and played their parts better. And so ultimately we were able to snowball the win as well as we did. So hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll see you on the next video.